few years ago, I was in the market for a new car. Well, a new used car to be specific. My 17-year-old Honda had finally taken its last breath, and it was time to upgrade. Knowing that my car was so old, I had been diligently saving up in expectation of this for a while, so when the time came, I had the money ready to go. I spent a few weeks comparing different options at different price points, and ultimately I decided to go with a pre-owned Toyota RAV4, which fit perfectly into the $15,000 to $20,000 budget I had set for myself. I had cash in the bank, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I was ready to make the purchase. So I walked into the car dealership, all confident and excited. I told the salesman what car I wanted and said I'd be paying cash, expecting that I'd be met with enthusiasm. I mean, what could be easier? It was an effortless sale for him. No high pressure tactics needed, no need to worry about approving me for financing. He had a sale right there in the bag, and he didn't even have to work for it. But his reaction was less than thrilled, to say the least. He looked at me and said, "Nicole, do you work?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, why?" So he goes, "What if I could get you into a brand new car instead?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, thanks, I'm good. You know, a new RAV4 is like $40,000 and I only want to spend 15, maybe at most 20,000 out the door." And he goes, "Well, you could put your $15,000 or $20,000 down, and since you work, we could get you financing for the rest with a low monthly payment." And I kind of just started giggling, and I was like, honestly, if I wanted a $40,000 car, I have $40,000. I could buy it without financing. I just don't need or want a $40,000 car, so no thanks. I figured, all right, an attempted upsell, I guess I should expect that. But getting me to spend more money wasn't really his main goal. When I shot down the idea of buying a more expensive car, he shifted to trying to convince me that I should keep my money in the bank in case of an emergency, and instead I could finance the $15,000 car, and since it's only $15,000, the payment would be really low, maybe like $300 a month, or better yet, $140 every 2 weeks.
This is your down payment, then here's your monthly, and there's your weekly.
Turns out that car dealerships don't actually make very much money selling cars. The majority of their profits come from selling financing. Dealerships themselves are obviously not banks, but they work with banks to sell loans. And when they get someone to take out a loan to buy a car, the bank gives them all sorts of kickbacks. And not only that, but they often mark up the interest rate over and above whatever the bank is charging. So let's say the bank approves you at, 5.5%. The dealership will charge you 6.5% or 7.5% and keep the extra for themselves. And guess what? It's not just car dealerships. There used to be a saying that cash is king, but apparently it's not anymore. From houses to cars to clothes to Chipotle burritos, we're now being not just encouraged, but pressured or even manipulated into financing everything. And it's all part of a very intentional strategy to constantly extract more and more money out of people, especially young people, without providing any actual value. All for the purpose of, you guessed it, increasing corporate profits. Yay! More and more, companies of all types are shifting their business models from being sellers of a particular product or service to just being middleman sales reps for financial institutions, with their main goal not being to sell you a TV or a car or a pair of shoes, but to sell you debt, because that's where the big bucks really are. What product or service you're buying is mostly irrelevant because it's really just a Trojan horse for a loan. It reminds me a lot of how tech companies like Meta and TikTok and Google are designed in a way that make it look like they exist for our entertainment and use, but really they only exist to collect our data and push advertisements to us. They use entertaining content to lure us in, but they aren't entertainment or communications companies. They're data harvesting and advertisement companies. And yes, I am well aware of the irony of me saying that on this platform that is owned by Google. But back to the financing of everything. Why is this happening? Well, beyond just the generous kickbacks that lenders give stores and car dealerships for selling the initial financing, they stand to gain even more from things like processing fees and late payment charges. And of course, breaking big purchases into smaller monthly payments is the oldest trick in the book for upselling. Maybe you only have enough money to buy a $1,000 couch, but you could buy a $3,000 couch if you finance it for $80 a month over the next 5 years.
How can I lose?
And because in a lot of cases, lender kickbacks are a percentage of the sale, not only do they make more money by selling you something more expensive, but they make more money by getting you to take on more debt and charging you more interest. And even if that part is obvious, which hopefully it is, What's a lot less obvious is the way that financing everything changes your perception of money and of ownership, and how it can actually change the trajectory of your entire life. And I promise I'm not being dramatic. I think that people really underestimate the impact that their day-to-day money and career decisions have on their life as a whole. Like, if you're in a job that makes you unhappy, or doesn't pay you enough, or just otherwise doesn't align with your long-term goals, it can be really easy to tell yourself that it's just a stepping stone or that you're gonna make a change. But actually doing it is a whole nother story. Figuring out what you even want can be overwhelming, let alone making it happen. And this is something that I myself have dealt with at many points in my life, and in a lot of ways I still do. But something that I've been leaning on a lot recently to help me work through this is meeting with a coach from Strawberry.me, who's also the sponsor of this video. Strawberry.me can match you with a certified career coach who can help you to not just figure out where you want to go, but to build an actionable plan to get you there. This isn't therapy, by the way. This isn't about mental health. This is about tangible problem solving and achieving your personal goals, one small practical step at a time. So whether you're going through a career change or just trying to figure out what's next for you, coaching with Strawberry.me might just be the best investment you ever make. Head over to strawberry.me/accordingtonicole or click the link below to get started with a $50 credit towards your coaching today. When you finance everything you buy, your brain no longer sees the true price. It no longer sees the actual amount of money you're spending. It only sees a small monthly fee to factor into your budget. So like, going back to my car situation, if I had bought my car with financing, instead of feeling the weight of shelling out nearly $20,000 all at once, I would have instead just seen it as a $300 a month expense to account for, really no different than my electricity bill or my groceries or whatever else I have to pay for every month. Just a part of life, but something that increases my cost of living by $300 a month, every single month. And honestly, by today's standards, that's not even much, because most car payments today are over $700 a month. But then what happens after 5 or 6 or 8 years when that car is finally paid off? Well, for most people who are used to having a car payment and just see it as a normal expense, that becomes their cue to go buy another new car and start the process all over again. I mean, if you can just keep paying roughly the same amount that you've been paying every month for the last number of years and get a brand new car, that means the new car is basically free, right? But this means that they will never be without a car payment. They're essentially leasing their vehicle, even though they've paid for it in full many times over. We see the same thing all the time with phones, where you finance them as an added charge on your monthly phone bill, and then as soon as the phone gets paid off, well, lucky you, you're due for an upgrade. And because you're used to paying $30 or $40 or $50 a month, it doesn't bother you to just keep doing that, even though you could just keep the phone you now have fully paid off and just save that extra money. And then the same thing happens for every other purchase you make. You finance your furniture, you finance your TV, you finance your appliances, you even finance small things using a credit card or a buy now, pay later app. And with each loan you take on or each purchase you charge to credit, you are increasing your overall baseline monthly living expenses by $50 or $100 or even $500 a month. And it adds up quickly. And then all of a sudden, the baseline income you need to earn just to sustain yourself, let alone to save anything at all, is astronomical. And the higher your expenses are and the more money you need to earn every month just to make your minimum payments, the more trapped you become. You have less freedom to leave a job you hate because you're completely dependent on your paycheck. You have less ability to take time off, even when you're sick, because you just can't afford to miss a day of work. You have less opportunity to take risks because you've been slowly building up a house of cards, and if anything at all goes wrong, it's all going to come crashing down. Even retirement becomes impossible because you can't cover all your bills and make all your payments if you stop working. And at the risk of sounding like a member of the Tinfoil Hat Club, this is all deliberate. We're being intentionally steered this way politically and socioeconomically because this is how the 1% maintains control. Corporations and the people who own them thrive when the working class is struggling. When you're saddled with debt, you're desperate for work. And when they know you're desperate for work, they have the upper hand. They can work you harder, pay you less, cut your benefits, and basically do whatever they want because you can't afford to quit or risk getting fired. You have no bargaining power. But when you owe nothing to no one, yes, I know that's a double negative, when your expenses are low and all your stuff is paid for, you hold the chips. You can afford to quit a job you hate. You can afford to turn down opportunities that don't benefit you. You can confidently negotiate your salary and advocate for yourself, knowing that you have the ability to walk away from the table at any time and you'll be fine. You can afford to take risks. You have true freedom. You know, it's really interesting because Americans are so obsessed with this idea of freedom. And I mean North Americans. Canada is very much like this too.
I'm not allowed to stand up for myself? I thought this was America!
People go on and on about their personal freedom and how important it is to them, but I don't think that most people really even know what freedom is. Freedom is not about having your pick of 31 flavors at Baskin-Robbins, and freedom is not about your right to boycott a coffee shop that sells red cups in December.
A lot of people are up in arms about this cup, this new Starbucks minimalist cup, saying that it is a war on Christmas.
Freedom is about having the stability and the safety net to be able to make the decisions that will leave you happy and healthy and fulfilled and give you autonomy over your life and over the way that you choose to spend your time and the things you choose to prioritize. In the US Declaration of Independence, where it references life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, this is what it's talking about. But when you willingly bury yourself under debt payments and high expenses, you are locking yourself into the shackles to take that freedom away from you. But when you keep your expenses low, you have a reasonable housing payment, you own your car outright, you keep using your phone even after it's paid off, you'll only buy the things you can truly afford to pay for in full, and you avoid consumer debt like the plague that it is, you give yourself options. Smaller amounts of savings become more impactful and give you a much longer runway, and it just becomes way easier to save up money way faster. It becomes far easier to replace your income if you lose your job or you want to quit. You are no longer at the mercy of your paycheck. If I had financed my car and my phone and my computer and whatever else back then, as so many people do, I never would have been able to take the risk of starting my own business. I would have had to keep a shitty job that I hated, or maybe even two of them, just to be able to make sure I can make all my payments. I never would have been able to save up the down payment to buy my house, and I never would have been able to take the time to start and build this YouTube channel, which has since become more profitable and fulfilling than any other job I've ever had. I know that nice things are nice to have. It feels great to have a nice car, or the newest, most spec'd out phone, or high-end clothes, a big TV, whatever other thing has most recently captured your attention. And I'm not here to tell you not to buy them. Buy the things that are going to make you happy, but just make sure you can actually afford them, meaning that you can pay for them in full with cash and that your day-to-day finances won't be affected as a result. Myself, I have like 5, I think, guitars. I have dozens of rare, valuable records. I'm wearing a $200 pair of jeans right now as I sit talking to this $1,200 camera, and then I'm going to go edit this video on a $4,000 MacBook. But all these things are paid for. They're things that I saved up for and bought outright without debt. If I hadn't had the cash for them, I wouldn't own any of them. And if every stream of income I have disappeared all at once, overnight, just like that, none of these things would burden me. None of them would be another expense to cover or another payment to make. None of them would make a hard situation harder. So yeah, I mean, buy the things you like, but buy them outright. And if you can't afford to, save up. And if you really can't save up for them, well, then you definitely can't afford them, and breaking them into monthly payments isn't going to help. It's just going to make things worse. It's just going to make your life harder. Your belongings feel so much more meaningful and valuable to you when they're fully yours. And the lack of stress you feel when your expenses are low and you don't owe anything to anyone and you don't have to answer to anyone or lick their boots, and your life is truly yours. Honestly, it feels better than anything you could ever make payments on. You feel light on your feet. You sleep better. It's like living life on easy mode. Or, as they put it in the movie The Gambler, you live life from the position of fuck you. I'll leave a link to that clip in the description below. I love it. All I'm saying is that the next time you go shopping, for anything really, but especially for a larger purchase, remember the fact that that car dealership or that Best Buy, that Crate and Barrel, Guitar Center, Apple Store, whatever, they aren't there to sell you a product. They're there to get you into debt, so don't take the bait. If you like this video, like the video, subscribe for more, follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole, and don't forget to check out strawberry.me if you're looking to change your career or just get some general life guidance. The link will be below. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care. See you next time. Peace.